What's up? What's up? What's happening? What it is, what it ain't gonna be like. It's Joseph R. Wheeler the third, the artist, the founder, the president of the ONYXCON Foundation, representing that Metro ATL. You know what it is. You know what it is. How y'all been? How y'all doing? Hope you are pursuing your goals relentlessly. Relentlessly. You know what I mean? I sure as hell am. And one of the biggest ones is here with y'all. So I want you to understand it's serious when we say we want you to subscribe. Okay? We need you to subscribe. We need you to tap some buttons like I'm tapping right now to make sure I get my settings just like I like them to be. Because can't everybody say something to the king? That ain't how it works. See, there's parameters. You got to work your way up. You got to work your way up, man. You know what I'm saying? I had to work my way up. You got to work your way up, you know? We need you to be real with me. If you got something to say in the chat, you need to be a supporter. You need to be positive. You need to be anti-troll. You need to be in control of your faculties. Speaking from a place of reason and logic and balance, harmony, productivity, progress, progression. You know, that kind of energy. That's the only kind we entertain around here. So shout out to everybody who's like that. And I give that disclaimer pretty much every time I go live. So don't feel like something happened and I felt like I needed to exaggerate it or anything or exacerbate the fact that we don't tolerate trolls and all that. Y'all ought to know by now. If you hear regular, you know how we do. You know how we do. We cancel them. They don't even become checks. They don't have to be canceled. They never got written for that energy. We only support those who support us. We only looking for those who support us. We only do what we do daily, from the posts to the lives and every type of live. You know, I go live, I do my gaming thing. I go live, I chat with y'all. I go live and I'll be at venues and special events and things. I do content that is, all of it's content, but I do content that's directly on the spot, edited, and you get the best of it. You know what I'm saying? I do stuff that's just raw, let it roll and see what happens and have a good time with it. We do all that. It's multi-niche content. That's the future. I'm claiming it as one of the pioneers, as the one who coined the hashtag. Hashtag multi-niche content. That's me. Multi-niche or multi-niche content. It don't matter. If they say multi-niche, it started with me saying it. I ain't saying other people don't do it. Everybody's been doing it. They just don't claim it. I always say, I claim mine. I don't pretend. I don't play the game with the algorithm. I'm here to break the algorithm and rewrite the algorithm. Did you hear what I said? I'm saying we here to rewrite the algorithm, and we already doing it thanks to my 1,800. Because that right there is the first proof. You only need 1,000 subscribers, but then you need 4,000 watch hours, and we're getting them day by day by day. Thank you to all the support we have been getting, especially for our shorts. I see that y'all like it like that, so I'm gonna keep giving it to you like that. But I'm still gonna give you the long videos too. We ain't gonna not do long videos. But what I'm learning is the long videos take longer to get the audience and everything because of the type of, channel it is and because of the numbers we got. I mean, what I'm saying? We got decent numbers, but we're not that big a channel yet. So because of that, I'm learning and this is just a lesson, what I'm saying right now. This ain't for everybody. This is really, I give insider tips too to my fellow YouTubers. Anybody out here who wants to do this, considering doing this, let me tell you how grueling and crazy and stressful this really is, okay? Don't get it twisted. You gonna be stressed. You gonna be worried. You gonna be waking up every day, grabbing your phone, looking at the daggum YouTube studio, trying to figure out, well, damn, I had this last night. Then does that mean that if I do that, then maybe I need to post at a different time. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that none of the other ones tell you, because I done looked at all of the types of videos. I ain't saying there's no way to ever look at all the videos on this topic, but I've looked at every type, generally, that there is out there of all these YouTube gurus, these people who act like they work for YouTube. And that's always the funny ones to me. It's like, unless you work for YouTube, it's speculative. I'm not saying you don't have good points, but I'm saying it doesn't matter. The best interview I ever saw, and I saved it. I saved it somewhere in one of my phones. I'm trying to remember which folder that was. I think it may have been the business. BIZNESS. If you look under our playlist. Our playlist is how we separate and organize our content here. So if you want to see anything that I mentioned that's ONYXCON content or something that we approve and recommend, like this is a recommendation, it's not my content, but I've added it to a folder because it's really good and I want people to see it. There's a young lady, young black lady, very pretty. She's out of the UK. She's got a great channel that's all about monetizing online, becoming, a digital nomad, the whole culture, right? And she interviewed. I talked about this before. I've mentioned this before. Thanks for the thumbs up. I be waiting to see that first thumbs up. That's how I know that's the only person I'm talking to right now. The real ones. The ones who put the thumbs up, that's my monetization nation. That's real. That's seriously how you have to look at it if you're gonna do this. Because I'm gonna tell you something. The other folk will be there and they'll help your numbers. And that's all good. Thanks to them. Thank you for that. It's good to have the little, they're just peekaboos, Peekaboo. They do. They want to peek in and peek out. They don't really care. But the ones who care about the channel, see the two who just put the 2 thumbs up, that's my people. That's my monetization nation. That's people who understand what YouTube is, how it works, and they understand you don't watch anything here for free. Nothing here is free. If you're not putting thumbs up, you are literally jeopardizing the stuff you say you kind of like by the way of you watching it. Yeah, that says to the algorithm, it must like it. So of course they suggest the channel again, right? But fair weather friends in real life or digitally, they the same energy. They not gonna be there when you need them. So we need people who understand that thumbs up is a salute. It's a counted, registered, it's like voting. You got nothing to say about the results you get if you weren't in the game, if you didn't say your opinion. Yes, if you want to get political, that's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, it gets ugly and folk do what they want to do anyway. And yeah. But one thing I know about it, and this is why I do vote, just to make this point. When you vote, it's a way of you and others saying, I don't like that shit. That's it. That's all. At least you said it. That's all. And let me tell you something. There's 2 ways you vote in this country, in America, all over the world, I think, quite frankly. I know it's different in different countries with politics. No, I know, yeah. But one thing I know for damn sure about this whole world, since it's all monetized and everything, right? If you stop spending money or doing something that means your money's not flowing or it's hurting somebody at the top who is running everything and got all the money, the rich people's money, you mess with their money, they pay attention. Yelling in the street gives them a little bit of attention, but only if you do things with your money that back up all that yelling. Otherwise, that yelling ain't shit. Did you hear what I said? You can protest all you want. The ultimate protest, ask Target. Ooh, somebody got real quiet. Ask Target what I'm talking about. ask Target how it feels when you play. Ask Disney recently how it feels when you get on the wrong side of the social consciousness of those who are on the more progressive side of life. Okay? Because there's other folk on that other book, they on that BS. But for those who are on that progressive side of life, ask them about how it feels when you play with the wrong ones. Ask them how it feels. When you wake up and you done lost billions because you thought, it doesn't matter. They're going to do what we expect them to do anyway. Oh, damn, they're not doing what we expect them to do. What is it? Why are they doing this? Yeah. Oh, if I could have just been in the boardroom. I just want some popcorn so I could watch them. That one, they're going to jump off a building. Anyway, let me not say it like that. Remember, views and opinions expressed by yours truly are just those of my crazy mind in certain modes, not necessarily even how I feel necessarily. Not really, nothing is real online. Nothing is real online, right? Yeah, mother suckers. Ask them how I feel. Anyway, but yo, we do it for the real, y'all. That's the only ones that matter. But to make my point, what I was saying about the numbers, how I go in a direct way of what I've started to learn is, from watching that interview with the young lady who I said was in the UK, and she interviewed this guy. He was I forget his name, but he is the head of the department. I forget the fancy name for it. It don't matter. I just know what it means. He's the head of the department. They said it too. They said it in layman terms, like real simple. It's like, this is the guy who controls the algorithm. And he was like, super humble and, well, I have a team. It's not just me. And, yeah, but you the dude in charge. Yes, I am. I mean, I was like, boy, you talking about a real interview. You talking about a real interview. That was the realest interview about that topic I've ever seen on this platform, because it don't get no more real than the person who actually is looking at it. And something I studied about it from I watched that thing like twice. I noticed what his energy is, as good as they are at creating this technology, they are always in a state of, well, maybe, well, what if? So because of that maybe and that what if, this is why I know that whenever something I'm risking my stability and my time and my resources to try, like when I went out on the limb and literally declared this is a multi-niche channel. We don't do one niche, we doing multi-niche. And I keep yelling it and making it a thing. The more you make anything a thing in social media, we all know, all it takes is, it's like wildfires. You got the spark, but all it takes is a little wind. And the wind is enough people to say, I like that. I agree with that. I'm gonna use that hashtag. And as soon as it catch fire, that's what we call viral. That's what we call viral. And we all know that any form of viral energy, even on a small scale, some people say, I always ask the question, like when people use these general terms and say, it went viral, or he got that bag, she got that bag. People use the slang for money. Bag, got that bag. Well, what is a bag? No one can ever tell you what the exact amount of a bag is. It's pretty funny to me. I'm like, there's no one bag. There's no one bag. There's no one way to go viral. There's no one level of viralness. There's no one culture. I always tell y'all, I don't like that phrase. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even fit my psychology of how I know things work with other people's psychology, whether they admit it or not. It don't matter what you admit. I see it in your actions. Nobody is simply one lane. Every day, all they do is one thing. Nobody is that. Nobody. And nobody is one culture. We are multicultural. We have multicultural experiences within our families, within our nations, within our societies, within everything about us. We are multi. So miss me with that one BS. Even when it comes to, I apply this to so many things. You talk about, I have my part that I call relationship goals in the art life. When it comes to intimate romantic relationships, I'm one who really shakes it up. And I say all the time, I don't believe in the one no more. I used to. That's when I was much younger, much more, in my opinion, naive of how the world is and how broad it is and how big and how many possibilities there are. And at the time I met my ex and all that, we didn't have the technology we have now. We didn't have the dating apps that we got now. We didn't have the ability to literally get on a phone and date the world, at least be able to talk to the world. I got this honey in Peru I'm talking to, but then this other gorgeous lady over in South Africa, and then I got another honey in Kenya, and then I got this other honey, she's in Philippines, and there's another one in Malaysia, and then there's another one in France, and then there's another one, and it just goes on and on. If you wanted to, you can have access, influence, conversations with anybody. Anybody. That is a superpower. That's what these things that some people take for granted in our pockets are. But they are literally this thing I'm talking to you to through right now. This is my portal. You're watching my portal. And I don't know who's on the other side of the portal, but that's what this is. This is a science fiction that come to life. This is a portal, people. Now what you do with it, and whether you abuse it or use it to advantages to advance yourself, is up to you and your actions. You can choose to progress from it, or you can regress. It's up to you daily. What you gonna do with it in the 12, 14, maybe more depending on your sleep schedule that you're awake. And even once you're asleep, if you're really using it right, it should be working for you while you sleep. You know what I'm saying? It really should. And that goes for a lot of things. I mean, that statement there, instantly conjures the always statement about when it comes to investment and money and stuff like that, which is not my main lane of conversation, but I do apply it when it comes to my creatives trying to make a better way and better life, and my travelers, my vloggers, my expats, my people, because all that's ONYXCON right there, for sure. So you got to understand the money to get to those things. So I still will mention some financial things, but I'm not a financial advisor. All right, let me make that very clear. Views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of ONYXCON's affiliates, associates, sponsors, etc. You know the drill. Not saying that worth a damn. No. I digress. I know my limits. I know my lane. I know my range. I know how loud my voice can get. I stay in my zones. Plural. For the cultures with a Z. Hashtag. Yeah. So anyway, we're doing what we're doing, y'all. We do not stop. But I've learned, like, even with that, like, I used to have a brick and mortar bank because that's all I knew growing up. Then I came into this digital age where I see that even the brick and mortar banks are all online. And then you start realizing you got all these other types of things. Like I hear all these people, all the digital nomads I would follow for a while, even some that I wasn't really following, I was just researching. I didn't necessarily like the person's energy, but they would say something worth a damn every now and then. So I'm listening because knowledge is knowledge, right? And I was there to collect. And there was one guy who would always swear by what he called a high yield savings with the high APY. He always talking about the high yield savings. I said, man, let me look into this. Sure enough, it's the wave of the future. It's the way a lot of banks are going. Not every, but most of the best ones, I would say, because they understand that no one wants to. What do you call investing if after a year you only got, you can't even count $1 or a couple of dollars. You got just cents and change because your money's always coming in and out. If you dealing with the struggle for real, how it go. Not to say you want to stay in that place, but that's where you at. You deal with it for reality. You can't have an account that doesn't yield higher return, or you just letting something sit there and other people play with your credits, so to speak. Because that's all the money is, just little credits on the screen, little digital dots. For this new economy, all this crypto-based, digital-based economy, globalization economy. And yeah, they say it's all based still on, it's still leveraged against gold and all these other things. Yeah, okay. You know what's funny to me, always been funny to me about that when people say, your money's backed up by gold. I can count the people in my life who've ever seen a room with those blocks of gold, like, a vault that may have had them, or somebody had a personal one and it was the real thing. Like, what percentage of people are ever going to even see that amount of gold in life? And then more importantly, I always laugh when people start talking about the value of gold or diamonds or any of those things like that, right? Because I always say, if the electricity for the broken grid goes out for any reason, and you don't have access to your crypto or your digital bank accounts or anything, but it's the big nightmare that everybody who fantasizes about it finally came. Oh, it's the apocalypse, and you gotta run around and you got your guns and you got your bullets and you think you're a badass. First of all, I don't give a damn how much you done stockpiled. Unless you got enough ammunition for every living human being, you ain't never gonna have enough. Number 2, you can't eat it. Number 3, you can't eat gold. Number 4, you can't eat diamonds. If you can't eat it, what the Rock say? It doesn't matter. With your candy ass. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. And a lot of people hate to hear me go that far and say it because they've based their whole life on chasing diamonds and gold and all this other shit. It's not saying that you don't deal with it in a certain level and keep it reality, that as long as this portal is open and the phone is working and I'm sitting up here looking at 5 o'clock traffic right now and everybody's just in the rat race doing what we always do every day. Ain't nothing too much changed, or it's really crazy. It has changed a lot, but we want to pretend nothing has changed. Then yeah, Yeah, you can play that game with your mind. But if you got to deal with the bottom line, if you ever got to deal with the bottom line, man, can you just be honest with yourself? Most ain't ready, ain't even trying to get ready, and they'd rather go out in a blaze of glory or holding their gold or trying to eat their diamonds than to find a meal and survive. Far too many. That's the reality. That's the reality. So, for the rest of us who know a little better, or a lot better, this is why I always say my favorite phrase, and I'm going to stick to it, because obviously somebody's listening, and they reading between the lines. They see that even with all the other stuff that I post, because if anybody who's simple-minded might say, man, what's he talking? He loves fancy cars, and he loves jewelry, and he loves fancy outfits, and he loves sneakers. And yeah, I like a lot of art, because everything that I just said is an art, and I'm an artist, so I love the arts. But I'm on no illusions, even when it comes to the arts. As a creative myself, right? I do everything to protect my original works until I can find the proper buyer who would appreciate them and buy them for at least a reasonable percentage of what they are worth. Because in this economy, it's hard to sell anything for its actual value, right? But I'm gonna tell you something. If I was cold and there was nothing else to burn, but I had a fire, when I tell you some of my greatest pieces would keep me warm if they had to, that's real talk. Because I'm under no illusions about what matters if survival becomes the main factor. So again, respect first, then power, then money. Money's always last on the list. And even when the subject is money, respect is a required part of the process to obtain it. Yeah. Brief example of something that I don't even know why this came back to me today. I haven't thought about this in months since it happened, but I went to a restaurant, right? It's gonna be an example of people not respecting just not respecting, having no respect from the beginning, but still expecting you to lend them the power to take your money with no recourse, no nothing other than just, well, whatever, you know. Sometimes and sometimes not kind of energy. So let me explain, because you're not gonna understand until I tell the story. Let me not get too far off, because I know what it is and I haven't said it yet, because I still get annoyed every time I think about it. But I went to this restaurant, right? And do I want to name the restaurant? You never know if you're going to end up with a sponsor sometime later and need... See, this is me thinking about the order of respect, because one location does not reflect the entire institution. The irony of it is, I've been to this restaurant at another location more times than I can count, because it was a family favorite. And because I don't even go out to be, you know, to be real with you, I'm not a restaurant. Let's go to a restaurant. I cook. I like my food. I like what I cook for myself. I would rather eat what I cook for myself any day than what's in most restaurants. I'm not even halfway impressed most of the time with, you know, other people who are food. Like when I read on dating profile, a woman says, well, I'm a foodie and I can't stand a picky eater. If you're a picky eater, don't even bother. I'd be like, well, yeah, I won't even bother, baby. And she could be absolutely gorgeous, because all I'm thinking is, if you're that shallow not to know that, first of all, you can have bad service, you get a bad meal, you can have allergies, you can have sensitivities to certain things in your diet, especially as you get older, okay? And that's just always a sign that you don't understand enough about life yet to hold your tongue and think before you said what you had to say, and think, well, wait a minute now. Are you trying to eliminate a whole category of gentlemen who might be the kind you love to know? Because you think that being a picky eater is a pathetic mental state instead of a necessity of survival. How about somebody might be not eating something because the last time they ate it and they didn't realize it was causing them harm, They ended up in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Some people understand that, and they don't ever talk about what other people eat. They just leave that alone, unless it's, you know, complete junk food. You might have a concern there. But even then, to be honest, yeah, I said this yesterday in another live. I said, you know, you can't make no